In 1974, a man opened the door to a small American diner. On the glass were two words that had crushed lives for generations: whites only. Everyone inside expected the same ending they'd seen 100 times before: anger, shouting, maybe even violence. Because the man who walked in wasn't set just anyone. It was Muhammad Ali. The owner thought he was about to deal with trouble. What he didn't realize was that he was about to face something far more dangerous. A man so calm, so unshaken, that the hatred behind that sign would have nowhere to hide. No fists were raised. No insults were thrown. But by the time Ali walked out, one life would never be the same again. This is not just a story about racism. This is a story about power without violence, strength without shouting, and a single moment that proved true champions don't just fight in the ring, they change the world by how they stand. 1. True power never needs to shout. When Muhammad Ali walked into that diner and saw the words "whites only," the room was already waiting for an explosion. Everyone expected anger. They expected defiance. After all, this was a man whose fists could shake the world, whose voice could command a stadium, whose name carried the weight of a legend. But Ali did something far more powerful. He stayed calm, and in that calm was a kind of strength most people never master. Ali understood that shouting back would not expose the injustice, it would only distract from it. Silence, when chosen with intention, becomes a weapon sharper than rage. By refusing to raise his voice, Ali forced the owner to sit with the ugliness of his own rules. There was nowhere to hide, no argument to deflect with, no anger to blame. In that moment, Ali proved that true power doesn't announce itself. It stands still and lets the world feel its weight. This is the kind of strength that doesn't need to intimidate, because its presence alone is undeniable. 2. Dignity is a weapon no one can take. When the diner owner enforced that whites only rule, the real intention wasn't just to deny service, it was to strip a man of his dignity, to make him feel small, unwelcome, less than human. But Muhammad Ali never allowed that to happen. He didn't plead. He didn't argue. He didn't shrink himself to fit the ignorance in front of him. Ali stood exactly as he was, upright, composed, unbroken. And that is where his real power lived. Dignity is not something the world gives you. It's something you decide to keep. In that moment, the sign on the door lost its authority, because Ali refused to let it define him. The owner may have controlled the building, but Ali controlled himself. And that made all the difference. When you hold on to your dignity under humiliation, you expose injustice without saying a word. You remind the other person that no rule, no title, no hatred can erase your worth. And often that silent reminder cuts deeper than any insult ever could. 3. You don't change hate by mirroring it. Hatred has a pattern. It provokes, it insults, it humiliates, and then it waits. It waits for anger. It waits for shouting. It waits for violence, because the moment you react with the same energy, hatred feels justified. This is the trap racism sets. And this is the trap Muhammad Ali refused to step into. Ali knew something most people learn too late. When you mirror hate, you strengthen it. When you match cruelty with cruelty, you turn a moral battle into a shouting match where truth gets lost. In that diner, the sign was already ugly enough. Ali didn't need to add more ugliness to prove it was wrong. Instead, he stood there calmly, fully present, fully human. And that presence did something anger never could. It made the injustice undeniable. The owner may have expected confrontation, maybe even welcomed it. Anger would have allowed him to say, "See, this is why we have rules like this." But Ali denied him that excuse. There was no aggression to point at, no disrespect to hide behind. Only a man standing quietly, exposing the emptiness of the rule itself. Hate survives by provoking reaction. When it gets none, it begins to collapse under its own weight. This is why Ali's response was so powerful. He didn't try to win an argument. He didn't try to humiliate the owner. He simply refused to participate in hatred's script. And that forced the owner into an uncomfortable position. Face his belief system honestly, or confront the possibility that it was wrong. Silence can be terrifying when it leaves someone alone with their conscience. Ali showed that change doesn't always come from confrontation. Sometimes it comes from contradiction, from being so grounded, so composed, so undeniably human that the other person is forced to question their prejudice. Rage hardens hearts. Calm presence cracks them open. This lesson reaches far beyond that diner. In life, you will face disrespect, ignorance, and unfair judgment. Your instinct may be to fight back with the same energy. But Ali teaches us something deeper. If you want to transform a moment, don't mirror the darkness. Be the light that exposes it. That kind of response doesn't just end an argument. It has the power to change a person forever. 4. Character is revealed under disrespect. Respect is easy. Anyone can be calm when they're welcomed, praised, or treated fairly. But disrespect, that's where truth shows itself. Disrespect strips away rehearsed manners and exposes the core of who a person really is. And in that diner, faced with one of the most humiliating signs a human being could encounter, Muhammad Ali revealed the depth of his character without saying a single word. That whites only sign wasn't just a rule, it was an insult designed to provoke shame, anger, and submission. It dared Ali to react, to lose control, to confirm the worst stereotypes that racism feeds on. But Ali didn't flinch. He didn't let the disrespect drag him down to its level. Instead, he stood firmly in who he was, calm, composed, self-possessed, and in doing so, he passed a test most people never even realize they're taking. Character isn't proven when life is fair. It's proven when life is unfair, and you still choose integrity. Ali understood that how you respond to disrespect defines you more than how you respond to praise. He could have walked out bitter. He could have lashed out and been applauded for it. But that would have been easy. What he chose instead was harder and far more powerful. He chose restraint. He chose dignity. He chose to let his behavior speak louder than any argument. In moments like these, people often think strength means dominance, overpowering the other person, winning the exchange, leaving feeling victorious. But Ali showed that real strength is self-mastery. When you control yourself under disrespect, you deny the other person power over your emotions. You remain free, while they remain trapped in their prejudice. That kind of strength is rare, and that rarity is what made the moment unforgettable. The owner wasn't just watching a man stand in front of him, he was watching his own belief system being tested. The calm response he received didn't fit the hateful story he had told himself for years. And when reality clashes with belief, something has to give. Ali's character became a silent accusation. Not spoken, not shouted, but felt deeply. This lesson matters because disrespect is inevitable in life. You will be underestimated, misjudged, treated unfairly. In those moments, you have a choice. Let disrespect define your response, or let your character rise above it. Muhammad Ali chose the second path, and by doing so, he proved that character isn't something you claim, it's something you demonstrate when it costs you the most. 5. One moment can rewrite a lifetime. Most people believe change requires years, long speeches, endless arguments, dramatic confrontations. But Muhammad Ali understood something far more profound. Sometimes one moment, lived with absolute truth, can undo a lifetime of false belief. That diner owner didn't wake up that day planning to change. His views had been shaped slowly by environment, fear, habit, and the comfort of never being challenged. For decades, those beliefs went untested, until Ali walked in. That single encounter cracked open a worldview that had stood untouched for years, and not because Ali tried to destroy it, but because he contradicted it. Hate survives when it's never questioned by reality. Racism feels safe when it remains abstract, when it's aimed at a group instead of a human being. But in that diner, the owner wasn't dealing with an idea. He was dealing with a man, a calm man, a dignified man, a man who didn't fit the story hatred had told him. This is what made the moment so powerful. Ali didn't arrive as a victim, and he didn't arrive as an aggressor. He arrived as himself, fully present, unashamed, and unbroken. And that presence forced the owner into a reckoning he could not avoid. For the first time, the rule on the door stood exposed, not defended by noise or conflict, but isolated in its cruelty. The owner had to confront a painful truth. The man he had rejected carried more integrity than the system he was enforcing. One moment did what years of argument could not. It planted doubt, and doubt is dangerous to injustice. Once planted, it grows quietly. It follows you home. It replays itself in silence. It asks questions when no one is watching. That's how lives change, not always instantly, but irreversibly. The owner may not have admitted it out loud that day, but something inside him shifted, and once a shift begins, there is no returning to who you were before. Ali's lesson here is profound and deeply uncomfortable. You may never know the impact of your restraint. The world celebrates loud victories, arguments won, enemies defeated. but some of the most meaningful transformations happen invisibly. Inside hearts you will never see again, the words you don't say, the anger you don't release, the dignity you refuse to surrender. These can echo longer than any speech. This lesson applies far beyond racism. In life, you will cross paths with people shaped by fear, ignorance, or bitterness. You may not have the chance to educate them. You may not be able to change their environment, but you always control how you show up in the moment. And sometimes, showing up with clarity and dignity becomes the turning point in someone else's story. Muhammad Ali didn't just walk into a diner. He walked into a man's belief system and left behind a crack that could never fully close. That's the power of a single moment lived with truth. 6. Real champions fight invisible battles. When people think of Muhammad Ali, they think of fists, footwork, speed, and power. They remember knockouts, belts, and legendary fights under bright lights. But the battle Ali faced in that diner was far more difficult than any opponent he ever met in the ring, because this fight had no referee, no bell, and no crowd to cheer him on. It was an invisible battle, fought entirely within himself. The hardest fights in life are not physical. They are emotional, psychological, and moral. They happen in moments when anger feels justified, when humiliation burns, when ego demands a response. In that diner, Ali had every reason to explode. Society would have understood it. History might have excused it. But Ali understood that true mastery isn't about unleashing power, it's about containing it. Boxers train their bodies for years, but champions train their minds even longer. Ali knew how quickly anger could turn into a loss, not just of a moment, but of purpose. Reacting would have shifted the focus from injustice to behavior. It would have turned a clear moral truth into a debate about attitude. By controlling his inner storm, Ali won a battle no one else could see, and that victory mattered more than any punch he could throw. Invisible battles test who you are when no reward is guaranteed. There was no applause waiting for Ali, no headlines promising praise, no assurance that his restraint would even be noticed. Yet he chose discipline over impulse, wisdom over ego. That choice revealed what separates real champions from talented fighters. Talent wins fights. Discipline builds legacies. Most people lose invisible battles every day. They speak when silence would be stronger. They react when patience would protect them. They surrender dignity for the temporary relief of release. Ali refused to do that. He treated self-control as seriously as he treated his training. He understood that the mind, like the body, must be conditioned to withstand pressure. That diner became a training ground. Just like the gym, the opponent wasn't a man, it was rage. The temptation wasn't violence, it was ego. And Ali stood his ground, proving that restraint is not weakness. It is the highest form of strength. Only someone secure in their identity can afford to stay calm when disrespected. This lesson matters, because life constantly throws invisible battles our way. A comment meant to belittle you, a rule meant to exclude you, a moment designed to provoke you into losing yourself. You may never get credit for winning these battles. No one may ever know the effort it took, but every time you choose control over chaos, you reinforce the kind of person you are becoming. Muhammad Ali won championships in the ring, but moments like this are what made him a champion beyond it. He showed us that the most important victories are often the ones no one sees, but they shape everything that follows. 7. Legacy is built in quiet moments. When people speak about Muhammad Ali, they often focus on the noise, the roaring crowds, the flashing cameras, the thunder of fists in packed arenas, championships, interviews, history-making quotes. But true legacy is not forged only under spotlights. It is shaped in quiet, uncomfortable moments, when no one is watching and nothing is being recorded. The diner was one of those moments. There were no cameras in that room, no reporters waiting outside, no applause promised for restraint. Ali didn't know this moment would ever be remembered. He wasn't performing for history, he was simply being himself. And that is exactly why the moment mattered. Legacy is not built when you are trying to be remembered. It is built when you are faithful to your values, even when the world gives you no reward for it. That sign on the door represented a system far larger than one man. Ali could not dismantle it in a day. He could not rewrite the laws in that instant. But what he could do, what he did, was leave a permanent mark on one human heart. And sometimes, that is where real change begins, not in public victories, but in private awakenings. The diner owner may not have changed his life overnight. Transformation rarely works that way. But once a man is confronted with truth in human form, he cannot unknow it. That calm presence stayed with him. It followed him home. It resurfaced in silence. That is how legacies work. They echo long after the moment has passed. Ali's greatness was never just about boxing. It was about consistency of character. The same man who spoke boldly on world stages showed restraint in small rooms. The same man who faced champions in the ring faced hatred without fear. That alignment between public strength and private integrity is what turns success into legacy. Most people want to be remembered for big moments, but life is mostly made of small ones. How you treat someone who disrespects you, how you respond when you're denied fairness, how you behave when no one is clapping. These moments quietly shape how the world remembers you, even if it never speaks your name. Muhammad Ali left behind titles that can be counted, but he also left behind moments that cannot be measured. Moments like this diner encounter, where no punch was thrown, no argument was won, yet a deeper victory was achieved. He showed us that legacy is not about dominance, it's about impact. And the most powerful impacts are often made in silence. That diner is gone. That sign no longer hangs on the door. But the lesson from that moment is still alive. Muhammad Ali didn't change the world that day with a punch. He changed it with restraint, with dignity, with the courage to remain human. When the world tried to deny his humanity, history often celebrates loud victories. But real change is born in quiet moments. When you choose character over ego, calm over rage, and truth over reaction, you may never know whose heart you sip or reaching. By the way, you carry yourself in difficult moments. But like Ali proved, one calm response can echo for a lifetime. So when life tests you, when you are disrespected, underestimated, or treated unfairly, remember this story. You don't always need to fight to win. Sometimes, the greatest victory is simply standing unshaken.